to this episode of Crockpot Meals for Real Men. Today we're going to be doing my father's fish stew recipe. Now, my father was an avid fisherman, but he wasn't what you would call an iron chef. And this is the only recipe that I can remember that he ever actually cooked. And the family liked it, and it's a very, very simple recipe. Now, this is going to be something of an experiment today for a couple of reasons. One, you see, when my father wrote down his recipe for me many years ago, he wasn't exactly detailed about it. Basically, he just wrote down what the ingredients were, said throw it in the pot and cook it. And normally he cooked it in a pot on the stove. And so this is going to be the very first time it's ever been cooked in a crock pot. So that's why it'll be a bit of an experiment. But I think it'll turn out okay. Now, as far as the ingredients of this, you'll see just how simple this is. You're going to be needing some ketchup. You're going to be needing some stewed tomatoes, or you could use fresh tomatoes. You'll be needing some hot sauce. You'll be needing some potatoes. Now, I personally prefer to use the Yukon Gold type of potatoes, but you can use whatever you like. You're going to be needing some bacon. And of course, you're going to be needing some fish. Now, when we made this, when my father made it, he always just put in whatever we caught that day from the lake. Usually it'd be catfish, brim, crappie, occasional bass. But I haven't been fishing in many a year, so what we'll be using today is some frozen Alaskan cod fillets and some frozen perch fillets, and I think that should work out fine. You'll also be needing some pepper. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do, according to my dad's recipe, is you're going to take some bacon, and he doesn't specify how much, so I'm going to use probably 5 or 6 slices. Cut it up into pieces and fry it in the pan. And what you're going to want is you're going to be using both the bacon pieces and the bacon grease. Hey, I've said all along that these crockpot meals for real men are not low fat, low calorie, or anything else. So this is my father's recipe, so this is what I'm going to follow. You're going to use the bacon grease and the bacon both for flavoring in the stew. You're going to also want to cut up your potatoes into bite-sized chunks, and so we're going to go ahead and get all of that prepared and ready to go in the pot, and as soon as we got it done, we'll be right back. Alright, well, we're back after frying up the bacon. Now, like I said, my father never put down any amounts to use, so I used about 5 to 6 slices cut up into pieces. Now, I'm going to read to you real quick what my father wrote down as far as the instructions for making his fish stew, and you'll see why this is a little bit of an experiment. It says, fry bacon in stew pot to get grease in pot. Add all ingredients except for the fish. It says if too thick, add water. It says cook till taste is right, then add fish and cook till tender. That's essentially what we're going to do. You do want to put the fish in last because fish cooks up pretty quick. Now, what I'm going to do, I've got the potatoes. I used 3 of the potatoes cut up into chunks about this size. And I'm going to put those in first before I put the bacon with the hot grease in, so that there's something to sort of absorb some of that heat instead of putting it directly on the cold crock. There. Now we'll put in the bacon and the bacon grease. Alright, now I'm going to add a little water to start with. I've got a cup here because I know that this is going to be pretty thick if I don't. And that should, cup should do it. Alright, next we're going to add some ketchup. How much is up to you. Yeah, that looks about right. Add a little pepper. Add a little hot sauce to taste. Oops. Yeah. A little more than I intended, but it's all good. And then we're going to add the diced tomatoes, which I forgot to open the can, so I'm going to open the can and we'll be right back. Now that we've opened the can, we'll add the stewed diced tomatoes. That's also going to add some liquid to the stew. Now, I'm going to stir this up some, mix it up. Now you can use more or less potatoes and tomatoes, whatever you prefer. Okay, put the cover on it, and we're going to cook this on high for about 2, probably maybe 3 hours until the potatoes are all tender. And for the last hour we'll add in the fish fillets. I've found in my experience that most things that you cook in a crock pot can get done in about 4 hours when it's on high. So put it on high, we'll leave it, and we'll be back in 3 hours to taste it a little bit and then add the fish.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, we're back. It's 3.5 hours later, and the potatoes are starting to get nice and tender now. Took a little longer than I expected it to, but it's still not too bad. 3.5 hours. It shouldn't take long for the fish fillets to cook. And speaking of the fish, as mentioned before, I'll be using Alaskan cod and perch fillets. And I decided that I'm going to use 2 of the perch fillets and 3 of the cod fillets. Now I'm going to take them out of the packages and cut them up into pieces, and then we'll come right back and put them in the pot. Alright, well, we're back. Got the fish cut up into chunks, as you can see. I will say that the perch, because I've never used perch before, kind of surprised me. The skin on the perch seems to be pretty tough. I hope that gets tender during the cooking. But at any rate, we're going to add the fish to the stew. Okay. Just kind of stir and mix that in. Might need to add a little more liquid to it, I'm not sure yet. Come back and see how it is after the fish has been cooking a little bit. And now we'll go ahead and let that cook for probably another half an hour to an hour. And then we'll come back, and if it's done, John will get to be the guinea pig again. So we'll see you then. Alright, well, it's been about 35, 40, maybe 45 minutes since we put the fish in, and it looks to be done. So we come over here and take a look at it. And you can see how it looks. I think it's the right amount of liquid. Got to stir it up here good. Okay. And now, John, if you'll put the camera back over there, and I'll dish you out some so you can give it a try. Tell us what you think. More juice in there. We've got oyster crackers here in case you want some. Alright, give it a try.
Alright, looks mighty good. Tomatoes are great. Right tasty. Very good again. You outdid yourself another time.
Well, I can't take all the credit because it's my dad's recipe, but as you can see, it's a very simple recipe, and which is the kind that I like. Not too many ingredients, doesn't take a lot of preparation, doesn't take a lot of time to cook. So that's my dad's fish recipe. I hope you all enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next installment of Crockpot Meals for Real Men. Don't know what it's going to be next time, so it'll be a surprise for both of us. See ya.
You're going to need a bigger boat.